Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, March 31st, 2025. Final day of March here, but I got all your stories for your rush hour ride to work. And on today's episode, we have a cameo by Blake Lively at a donut shop. I'll share exactly why she was slinging donuts behind the counter, how it went, what this means for her PR, and we are looking for a big week in the Baldoni Blake Lively case, as we'll have lots of rulings by the judge. So stick around for that story. Plus, Fyre Fest 2.0. It's happening. It's got a new venue. I'll share what Billy McFarland has to say. And Sydney Sweeney, rumors are she may be single, and now she's spotted ready to mingle at a wedding with who but her co-star Glenn Powell. Also, we have a new U.S. figure skating champion. I don't know if you know this about me, but every 4 years I become a pretty big figure skating fan. So we'll share that story. And a victory lap is in order after Bachelor Clayton has had his appeal upheld, which means he won, and again in his paternity case. So I guess his accuser now wants to take it to the state Supreme Court. Take a hint, you're not going to win. So we got a lot of stories to get into. Stick around, folks. All these stories and more coming up right now on The Rush. Well, let's start our Monday morning off with some good news. How about a gold medal victory? That's right, U.S. has the World Championship figure skater. Have a listen to this.
For the first time in nearly 2 decades, the women's figure skating world champion is an American. Alyssa Liu leaped and twirled to victory in Boston last night. It's a stunning comeback for the 19-year-old who had retired from the sport at the age of 16. She's now set to compete in the Winter Olympics next year in Milan.
Well, there it is, right? They say never quit. Never quit when pursuing your dreams, which takes us to our next story. Billy McFarland, Fyre Festival 2.0 is set to happen very soon, and I got to give it to him. Look, he was in jail. The Fyre Fest 1 went so bad, and now, everyone's just taking a dump on him. No one believes it's going to happen. Will he pull it off? Here's Good Morning America, Billy McFarland reporting.
We're approaching with a healthy dose of skepticism here, but Fyre Fest founder Billy McFarland insists, though he is a convicted felon, that Fyre Fest 2 is the real deal for real this time.
His first attempt at a massive luxury music festival was an astonishing, fraudulent failure.
Whoa.
But overnight, Billy McFarland, the businessman behind Fyre Festival, is back once again making big promises, this time for Fyre Fest 2.
Fyre Festival 2 is about the life-changing relationships and building core memories.
The original 2017 Fyre Fest promised thousands of excited concert goers a weekend of major pop music shows and luxury accommodations, only to strand them on an island in the Bahamas with cots, soggy cheese sandwiches, and widespread misery.
Okay, so look, it could have gone better. I get it, but imagine the fear of missing out. Imagine if you don't go to Fyre Fest 2. I'll tell you who won't be going is Billy McFarland, because he's on parole. He can't leave New York as far as I know. And the only performer he has so far is Chad Ochocinco, and God knows what's going on in that guy's brain, the former football player. So we'll have to see. But they say they're going to have pop stars. They say they're going to have reggae and other bands. So again, I need to ask the question, do we have anyone in the Rush Hour community who's planning on going? Please let me know. I want to make you a correspondent. Hey, maybe this could be a tax write-off for you. I don't know how taxes work. Don't take my word for it. But if you're going to be there, God willing, I want to make sure we report live from the festival. All right, let's move to some other news. Why don't we? Oh, here's a good story for you. It looks like somebody is saying they found the Ark of the Covenant. Here you go.
Anna Jones, headlines about the supposed discovery of the Ark of the Covenant may have piqued your interest. Social media sleuths have been posting excerpts from a decades-old CIA report, which they say solved the millennium-old mystery. The documents were from Operation Sunstreak, and according to many excited commentators, they revealed the existence and location of the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark is said to be an ornate chest that, according to the Old Testament, held the Ten Commandments. It's claimed the sacred item disappeared in 586 BC. but has captivated historians for centuries, even appearing as the main plot device in the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The Bible speaks of the ark leveling mountains and laying waste to entire regions.
All right, so where is it? Everyone's talking about having it. Where is it?
Session, which was a psychic technique used by the CIA. It involved a supposed psychic describing an unknown object and its whereabouts through deep relaxation and focused attention. According to the agent's notes, the psychic described their target, in this case the Ark, as being hidden underground and highly guarded. They also said it was located in the Middle East and that there was an aspect of spirituality and historical knowledge to the artifact.
All right, well, I could have told you guys all the same exact thing. It's buried somewhere in the Middle East. All right, so I guess we don't have the Ark of the Covenant. Sorry, folks, I thought we had a good Monday morning for you. Well, let's go to we got some big news to get to. We know Jessica Simpson's back in the game, and let's find out what she's doing to limber up those vocal cords. She says here on TMZ, I drink snake sperm for my vocal cords. She's down to do anything to help her vocals be in tip-top shape, including a Chinese herb cocktail. Well, you know me, I'm hyper-competitive. If I found out a Chinese herb cocktail, a snake sperm, gave me a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast, I'd say load me up, Buttercup. But anyhow, I don't think it's going to make a difference with my raspy voice. Morgan Wallen, speaking of voices, says he's heading to God's country, ditches Saturday Night Live stage during the credits. Did you guys see this over the weekend? So I'm just going to play the very last second. Here he is, just walking away. I mean, they're literally on camera, and he's walking. Everyone's hugging, and he just walks off screen. Now, Morgan Whalen, I don't like to take the time to remember how to say his last name. The dude's just always been in trouble, right? He was kind of like half canceled a few years ago for saying the N-word, caught saying it, and then he, threw a lawn chair off the deck of the roof of a building in Nashville, almost hit a cop. I mean, the guy's just one problem after another, and he can't stick around for 10 extra seconds while the credits roll and thank the team that, helped produce the show that he was a guest on. This is pissing people off. Tyler said, am I missing something? The cast appears to be standing quite far back from the host and musical guest. The whole thing seems odd. Yeah, my guess is they don't really like them, but, they got to play to those demographics, so they got to do what they got to do to get them, to get a couple extra views because NBC's psychopathic. All right, well, here's another good story for your Monday morning. Fran Drescher, 67, the nanny, candidly admits she has a rotation of friends with benefits. If I needed a reason to like Fran Drescher better, now I got it. I mean, come on. With that voice of hers, a rotation of friends with benefits. Clearly someone's enjoying her residuals, so good for her. We love Fran Drescher, right? All right, well, oh boy. Another bad news day. Sean Kingston found guilty of wire fraud, faces decades in prison. He could have avoided this if he just went to Fyre Fest 1.0, but instead, he was found guilty in a $1 million federal trial. The jury deliberated for 3 hours in Broward County. And CBS News says they find the 35-year-old singer, born Kizian Paul Anderson, and his mother, Janice Turner, guilty on 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 4 counts of wire fraud. Each charge carries a maximum sentence of 20 years. It's too bad, What can you do? I can tell you what you can't do is break crimes. Don't do that. All right, well, why don't we do this? Let's take our first break, and then we're going to come back with some Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively news. How about that? We'll be right back after this. Well, we're expecting it to be a very big week for Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni, as the judge in the case is probably going to be responding. I know there's no actual deadline, but according to the timelines we've seen so far, will probably be responding to the motion to dismiss filed by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. What does this mean? Well, we'll have to see whether, if he grants the motion to dismiss, it's a pretty good deal for them. But again, we'll have to see what the judge rules. We have a public relations piece here that is favorable to Blake Lively. She surprises fans by working behind the counter at a Connecticut donut shop. She was in a really happy mood, says the source. The actress made a stop at the pastry place on March 30th amid her ongoing legal battle surrounding It Ends With Us. So again, this is what you do in the world of PR. Who doesn't like donuts, right? This is like a win-win for everybody. She's making donuts. Everyone's happy. Now, I wish I was wealthy enough to be able to make donuts donuts in my free time, but we're just not there. Although I don't want to glaze over a good deed in giving out donuts. Baking with genius food friends in their kitchen mixers the size of a car. Lively wrote alongside a photo of the kitchen tool on her Instagram stories. This is what my happy place looks like. So at one point during the visit, a father and son chatted with Blake Lively, and the dad told his child her husband is Deadpool. So yeah, that's all she's known for. My husband is Deadpool. So there she is. She's doing her thing. I mean, look, it is what it is. She's friends with someone who owns a donut shop. It's kind of one of those stories. I don't know if it's going to change people's minds, but it is, if you were on Blake Lively's camp in her team, you would say, hey, it's good to stay out there. Don't let the haters silence you. Now, if you're on Baldoni's side, you'd say, yeah, go make as many donuts as you want. You're going to need a job once you're bankrupted with all that Mint Mobile money going in Justin Baldoni's pockets. We'll have to see how it plays out. But anyway, here's a quick clip from her making, you can see behind the counter there making donuts. So there they are. She's back there. She's waving to somebody. She's smiling. I mean, there she is. She's doing her thing. I don't actually, in this clip, I don't see her moving at all, but I suspect she cleaned a bowl or two. By the way, I've got a great business idea if anyone wants to go in with me. For only $16,700, we can buy one of these donut making machines. See, you mix the donuts into this bowl right here, and then they plop them into this conveyor belt of oil, and then it shimmies the oil. It goes down the conveyor belt and then plops the donut out, and then you can, glaze it or whatever you want. You can jam some jelly into it. I don't really care what you do with it at that point. But my thought is, my proposition here is we schlep this thing. We go to Southwest, right? They still let a few checked bags for now until I think the end of May. We'll go down to Fyre Fest 2.0 and we'll start selling these donuts because inevitably Fyre Fest 2.0, everyone's going to be hungry. So we can probably charge $20 a donut. We'll pay for this thing before you know it. Just a thought. All right. In other Blake Lively news, very irreverent this morning. In other news, I'm just going to catch you guys up to where we're at. So Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds tried to dismiss themselves, whereas Justin Baldoni didn't. And Blake Lively's side is saying, see, Justin Baldoni doesn't want to dismiss himself from this lawsuit, therefore they're guilty. So here's what Blake Lively's side said. She said, the late night flurry of answers instead of motions to dismiss reveal that the Baldoni, Sarowitz, and Wayfair defendants know that they have no legal arguments remotely capable of dismissing our complaint. A statement provided to Fox News Digital read, they have instead accepted that Ms. Lively's complaint states valid legal claims that they could not muster a single reason to dismiss. Meanwhile, every person and entity the Baldoni Wayfair team sued has moved to dismiss their meritless PR stunt. Lively's legal team claims Baldoni used his $400 million lawsuit as a blunt public relations instrument, sinister campaign to destroy his It Ends With Us co-star's reputation, according to the court documents obtained by Fox News. And of course, his side says, we don't want to dismiss because we want to win. He says this, again, this is all stuff that's come out this past week, and again, we might today find out what the judge actually has to say about this. And by the way, when we do find that out, don't walk, run over to my channel. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and all that. We strategically made decisions to file answers to these complaints. This is not because we do not have grounds to file motions to dismiss, but because in this day of courts giving wide discretion for leave to amend, we are not interested in providing them with a chance to learn just how poorly their legal theory has been drafted and a roadmap on how to correct it. We would rather lock them into their deficiently drafted complaints and thus force them to proceed through the case with lawsuits that are replete with glaringly legal and factual problems. Ryan and Blake are going to have to dance with the one that brought them here, and if they expect us to help educate them on how to do this properly, then they are going to the hardware store for milk. Damn, that's some fighting words there, right? So, of course, pretty big deal. Of course, they want the truth to be out there more so than they care about having, a sort of a legal win. They want the truth out there. And speaking of getting the truth out there, we have breaking news that has come out over the weekend. On Friday night, we learned that Bachelor Clayton was the ruling in his case, which was that he was to be paid $150,000 from Laura Owens, that ruling was upheld in the appeals court. In the appeals court, Laura Owens and her attorney, Baby Gingras, had said that they felt like there were some errors to the judgment and there was bias in this and that. Well, 3 different appeals court judges came together and said, no, your theory has no fact behind it. They basically really dunked all over Laura Owens. Now Laura's lawyer says they want to go to the Supreme Court. And anyone I've spoken to says there's no way this will go to the Supreme Court because they didn't even get an oral argument. And by that, the appeals court didn't even say, hey, okay, let's hear what you have to say. They said, no, we're done here. And they moved on. So there's your taxpayer dollars there to Arizona doing good work. And of course, we got a big response from Bachelor Clayton Eckert. Here's what he had to say, further finding out how vindicated he is. As many of you follow along know, my legal battle is finally over. The Arizona Court of Appeals has ruled in my favor and upheld the judgment from the trial court. I have a lot of people to thank in no particular order. Thank you to Bachelor Nation community who continually put this story in front of journalists, podcasters, and YouTubers. From Dave Neal, who tirelessly fought to get the truth out there and did so to a degree I'll forever be grateful for, to individuals like Reality Steve, Megan Fox, Omar, Lauren Needy, Law Talk, and so many others. Thank you for standing by me. And to the Justice for Clayton community, the way you organized together and covered this fraud is amazing. Take a look at the victimsoflauraowens.com website if you want to see an example of their great work. All 9 years of faking pregnancies and cancer with multiple victims. It is all documented there. To my brothers, Mike and Greg, you lived this nightmare before me and then stood by me. Your beautiful and very real babies are lucky to have you as their dads. Although we met due to unfavorable circumstances, we now stand together stronger than ever. It's always nice to know you're not alone in life, and by having you two, I have that. To the other victims who did not step forward publicly, I understand why. I hope this gives you some small sense of justice as you deserve it too. Last, I need to share a heartfelt thank you to my legal team at Woodnick Law. You have seen their amazing legal work, but what you have not seen is what they do behind the scenes. You all talk about my guy Greg, or as some of you like to refer to him, Zaddy Woodnick, which I know he loves. But Woodnick's team is deep with impressive individuals. Marcus ran point on the appeal and knocked it out of the park. You all know how amazing Deandra and Isabel are, but that entire law firm has been so supportive. I'm forever in their debt. Today is about being grateful for everyone who has helped me. After being dragged through the mud and the effect on my mental health, I am ready for whatever comes next. I also want to note that I don't endorse or encourage any negativity towards the perpetrator. I do hope she is held accountable in the criminal justice system, but really hope she gets the help she needs so no one is ever hurt by her again. And by the way, I created a tweet to Rachel Mitchell, the county prosecutor, saying, all right, the appeals court has ruled. Will we get are you going to be charging her with the crime she committed, which is perjury and medical fraud and all these other very provable things? She made a mockery of the system. She put their lives through hell. And by the way, Mike, Clayton, and Greg all have restraining orders against them. She tried to get one against me and it failed. She threatened me with a $120 million lawsuit. She sued me for harassment. She called the FBI on me. And what do we get? To all of my audience in the Rush Hour community, we get to tell her to go fuck off. That's what we get to do now. We knew we were right. We proved it. And thank you guys all so much. It's a chapter of my life now closed. I do think she'll try to sue us again for emotional distress. I think that's her next plan. But either way, I know I'm protected by the truth and having an audience there to support the victims, the senseless crimes that were committed, all because these men told her no. All because she couldn't handle inevitably what we all have to deal with, which is rejection in life. And trust me, as someone who has been rejected many a time through careers in sports and women, I'm here to tell you, we can all overcome rejection. We can learn from it, but what we cannot do is have the collateral damage that ruins other people's lives because you can't handle a little bit of no. All right, so what a victory lap for our community today. I'll tell you what, let's take a quick pause. We'll come back with some news about Elon Musk getting booed in Wisconsin. That next. So Elon Musk tweeted that he'll be giving a talk in Wisconsin. Entrance is limited to those who have voted in the Supreme Court election. I'll also personally hand over 2 checks for $1 million. So he's just handing out money to people. And again, maybe it's not saying vote for this candidate, but everyone knows what side of the aisle he's on. Midas Touch responded, no matter what side of the aisle you are on, you should be appalled that a billionaire thinks he has the right to buy elections like this. And by the way, I do want to speak to some of my audience. I've got a Facebook community called Dave Neal's Community. And I saw some comments from people. It was kind of really sad, actually. One person said they didn't like my political coverage and they felt like they were losing a friend because they followed me for something different and maybe they think I've changed. But I have to remind people, like, I have a commentary channel. I give you my opinion. Some of you might say, well, Dave, your opinion's super progressive. Well, that's the world I live in. I think the world would be better if some of these billionaires, these people that have used technology to really just not drain the swamp, but drain it straight up into their bank accounts, right? The middle class is shrinking. A lot of people can't afford the basic elements we would think you would have in society, which is a nice little dwelling, a one job that can pay your bills. I mean, we've got people that, we had our friend on here who's a doctor, our friend Katrina, the pathologist, talking about $4,000 a month student loans. So we live in a very rigged world for the middle class, and I fight for that. I'm fighting for veterans that are losing their benefits because certain programs are going away. I'm fighting for those that feel like the American dream is just slipping away. And billionaires control the cabinet, the presidency, and in this case, an unelected government, I don't even know what you would call him, Elon Musk. He's just the head of Doge, and he's here, obviously, to not do good, right? We know that, right? So he's in Wisconsin, and they're trying to get a Supreme Court won by their conservative Supreme Court person that's running for office. Meanwhile, why should he, this South African billionaire, the richest man in the world, be able to put his foot on the scale of what the heck goes down in Wisconsin? Well, because they want judges to be on their side. That's what they want. And I think that's a real problem we live in. And for those that are in my audience that say, Dave, we feel like we've lost a friend in you because you're of a different political ideology, I remind you, this doesn't have to be political. This is about our country, right? This isn't about whether you voted Dems or Republican. And by the way, I'm not dunking on anybody that voted Republican. I'm just waking people up to what's going on right now. The Constitution is evaporating in front of our eyes, right? You've got instances where student visas are just being taken away because you went to a rally for, to support the ending of a war that you don't want. So we see this going on. And again, I'm just here to speak truth to power. Elon Musk gets booed. And what does he say when he's booed? Oh, those must be George Soros operatives, a rich man. They think he's paying people to boo him. I want to remind Elon Musk, we still live in a democracy, even if he wishes we didn't. And those boos are coming from the good folks of Wisconsin who don't want anyone meddling in their elections. Have a listen to this.
Next platform. There is a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the federal government. Like, shocking, really. It's insane.
So if there is a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government, how come the Department of Government Efficiency hasn't charged anybody with a crime? Who is he to decide what is waste and not? There's so many different programs, like the SNAP programs that help people with, to get food stamps, programs that my mom was on, and I know plenty of people that have been on. Those are the programs that they want to get rid of while the ultra wealthy pay less in taxes. Make it make sense, folks. Again, if this is the reason why you think, oh, I'm losing a friend in Dave. Dave is still here. Dave is the same guy he was when he was helping Clayton Echard, win his court battle. Or Dave's the same guy covering Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. I argue I have not moved a square inch, and I will continue to be here sharing what I think is right, which is that we should be rejecting people coming into our country and telling us the way we do things is wrong. We have checks and balances. When judges decide that the executive branch is doing something illegal, they make that decision and we stick by it. And that's how you protect from authoritarian control. Have a listen to the audience rejecting Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's really wild. So, like,
there's someone yelling, "Get him out of here."
I mean, it was inevitable that at least a few Soros operatives would be in the audience. Give my regards to George. Say hi to George.
Give my regards to George. Would you like some great poupon? I mean, the guy is a filthy rich dude. And, I don't know, folks. I mean, if this means if I'm the bad guy here, I don't know. I'm just helping veterans and poor people try to get health care. What can you do? Here's, we're actually, I can't believe we're actually, I rambled too much. I got all these other stories I didn't get to. I guess I'll have to cover them after. I have Ken Klippenstein saying that the State Department is ordering agents to monitor student visa holders. Social media posts, evidence that someone has criticized the U.S. government on social media can lead to a finding that they are a terrorist. That's what we live in. And again, I warned you guys this. I said this last week, right? I said this last flipping week. I said, if you think it's going to end with Mahmoud Khalil in Colombia, you're absolutely wrong. They're going to come for people, call you a terrorist, and then they're going to keep doing it to people that have student visas, green card holders, and eventually they're going to float the idea of doing it to you. Yeah, that's right. Because if the visa holders, if the green card holders, then who else? Can we silence people? Can we make them afraid to lose their liberty and not speak out? Well, I'm here to tell you guys this. Having been threatened with lawsuits over $100 million, you can't do it to me. You cannot do it to me. I will be here. Help strengthen us by making sure you're subscribed, giving a 5-star review, sharing with your friends. If being a part of the resistance is someone you think you're losing as a friend, I would reevaluate who you want as friends. Because I'll tell you this right now, I would want a guy like me in my own corner. All right, I'll be back this afternoon. Maybe we'll have breaking news in the Baldoni case. Stick around, we'll find out. We'll see you then. I'm Dave Neal, and this is The Rush.